Hello everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder. Tonight I'm joined by Dan Beebe at the moment, and Dan O'Shea and Tony Casper. They're running just a tad behind. We started a little bit late, but have no fear, we're going to have a great show tonight. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing fine.
That is good to hear. We have an excellent show in store tonight. We have to talk about that Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight. The craziness going on in the Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder thing. And, of course, college football, which is my favorite sport of all.
We're back in full swing this time of year, man.
Seriously, yeah. We're technically on week 2. There were 5 games last week, so this is week 2-ish.
That's fair. I'd say with the limited number, we say 5 games last week, and now we're going all in. So
yeah, absolutely. Speaking of going all in, we're going to get right to what we're talking about tonight. Well, actually, silly me. We're gonna do the pigskin poetry like we always do, and bear with me, I will probably repeat this when Dan and Tony get in, because this is one of our favorite segments to open the show.
Tradition.
Yeah, so I'm going to read it now. When they get here, I will read it again. So this one is titled, It's a Jersey Thing. Who is worse, Rutgers or the Jets? At their respective levels, they're as bad as it gets. Who will have more wins? I cannot tell. But these teams are the epitome of football fans' hell. Are they lovable losers or just down on their luck? Are they missing a couple pieces or do they just suck? When all is said and done, Rutgers wins more games. Sports reporters don't even know the Jets QB's name. Some say McCown, some say McNown. Do some stinking research. His name is Josh McCown. It's safe to say that neither team will come close to winning a ring, but neither will the Giants. It's a Jersey thing.
Wow. You may have nailed it on the head. You never know. With the G-men, they might come out strong, but
with that offensive line, I really don't think they will.
Guys, the thing with the Jets is, I've even talked to people around. I've asked that don't really look much into football, and I said, well, it's how the Jets going to do this year. I said, well, the QB position's quite a mess, and I want to put money on pretty much any of their games this year.
Oh, I'd put tons of money on all of their games.
Nobody
against them.
Yeah, but nobody would meet your bet. That would.
No, of course not.
You got to find some sucker to take you on, but
absolutely, it's a crying shame. Is really what it is.
Yeah, and it's you talk about the cycle of sports, but to the date, I love how it still holds true that what do you call the Jets fan with a Super Bowl ring? The senior citizen.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with a Madden player.
Well, yeah, Madden fans, diehard Jets fans, I've known a few who have made those Super Bowl dreams come true playing Madden football, and that seems just about as far as you're going to get for the time. But
all right, that's enough of the Jets for now. I'm sure we'll talk about them once the resident Jet fan Dan O'Shea gets here. But we're going to continue on. First thing we're going to talk about, actually, we're going to change up the order a little bit. We're going to talk about what's going on in the trade between the Cavaliers and the Celtics. The Cavaliers and Celtics, those of you who know, Kyrie Irving traded from the Cavaliers to the Celtics for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and a draft pick, first round draft pick that the Celtics got from the Nets. So that's a lot that they gave up for Kyrie Irving. Yeah. But something's not right. Isaiah Thomas has been having this hip issue that's been bothering him for a while, dating back to the playoffs last year. And the Cavaliers are basically saying, let's hold off on this trade for a bit. I think we want some more pieces. Mm-hmm. So if they're swapping out Isaiah Thomas for a different piece, that's one thing. But to ask for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and a first-round pick in addition to another player for Kyrie Irving, I don't think I would do it.
I don't think they could fit. No.
No, I don't, because who are they really going to go after? Kelly Olynyk? I mean, I really wouldn't think that that'd be an intelligent trade to trade away Crowder, Thomas, Olynyk, and a first-round pick for Kyrie Irving.
Very true, yeah. It's, I don't know, early on, well, when is the trade deadline?
Mid-season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's maybe just kind of hold off and see what else comes up in the market later on. It's,
Do you think that maybe the Cavaliers did this on purpose to kind of maybe not guilt, but to put fear into the Knicks that they were willing to give up Isaiah Thomas, Crowder, and a first-round pick? All we want is Porzingis from you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get this done. Do you think that they had that in the back of their mind the whole time?
I would honestly say so. And that, too, we've even talked about in the previous episode, is how bad, Kyrie Irving wants to play in New York.
Yeah, he's from New Jersey. Which is practically, New York City.
Yeah, I mean, it's
light.
A bridge ride across, and you're in either or. But I think, definitely what we've seen so far is a very tense chess match as to how things will play out.
Especially because right now, if they don't get a deal done, you're going to have Kyrie Irving and LeBron James who are going to be forced to be with each other, which is a sticky situation.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have the two guys that you were going to trade from the Celtics who are still going to be Celtics but weren't expecting to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
You just pissed off Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder.
Yep.
So, how is that relationship? Did they just burn that bridge? Are they now going to have to move on from Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder no matter what?
I think it's just, if anything, it'll set the benchmarks. I mean, it's like, I don't know personally, why the Knicks kind of dragged their feet on things like this.
Well, the reason the Knicks dragged their feet is because they were hoping they'd get Carmelo to waive his no-trade clause for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they're trying to figure out a package they could send that didn't include Kristaps Porzingis. So, that, and they also had other issues that they were worrying about, a new general manager and a new president stepping in.
Mm-hmm.
So
really changed the chemistry of things right then and there.
Yeah, so they have to settle in, make sure they're doing things right, because you would hate to be, the general manager or the president who, Steve Mills, the president, he's familiar with the organization, he's been around a long time. You'd hate to have your first act as general manager be the trade that gives up the next Dirk Nowitzki for a guy who could fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only 25. He's an elite scorer. He's a good guard. Knicks do need guard play. That's why they drafted Frank Ntilikina, because he fit perfectly in the triangle system that Phil Jackson wanted to play. But Phil Jackson's not in New York anymore, so the triangle really makes zero sense at the moment.
Yeah, they're not seeing that keeping that, right?
Right. Yeah. They're definitely not going to... No, they're not going to run that. For a couple of reasons, especially. One, offense really wasn't a problem for the Knicks. It was their defense. Mm-hmm. Their offense was scoring points. Their defense just wasn't stopping others from doing that. So I don't know why the Knicks would make the trade, but if they considered it, they would have to do something, I don't want to say drastic, but they'd have to do something that would make their whole situation a little bit better. As we are joined now by Dan O'Shea. Dan, how you doing?
Good, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. We're just talking about the Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas, Crowder pick swap that may not be swapped.
I think it's still supposed to be, right? It's just that Boston would have to throw something else in.
Yeah, but if they don't,
Oh, right. Yeah, then the deal's off
Yeah.
after the physical, because I guess IT's hip is still an issue.
so I'm just wondering, do you then take Isaiah Thomas out of the trade and put someone else in? Or do you want someone else on top of that? Good. And if you want someone else on top of it, who would it be? The only other asset they have that they're going to be able to get rid of / might be willing to get rid of would be Kelly Olynyk. And is Kyrie Irving worth Isaiah Thomas, who's a great scorer, Jay Crowder, who's a great defender, and Kelly Olynyk, who is one of the flourishing young stars of the NBA, on top of a first-round pick,
Right.
a projected.
Maybe there's some. I think there's room to negotiate there. Maybe they swap out Olynyk for one of the guys that they were gonna throw, like Crowder or Z, whatever his last name is. I can't remember.
Yeah. Zinich or something.
Yeah. Instead of adding Olynyk, which would be, I think, possibly too much for Boston to give up, they swap him out for Crowder or add some other piece that's not as big. I think Cleveland knew going into this that the hip was probably still an issue, and I think they're just trying to get a little bit extra, which, why wouldn't you?
Well, that is something that I just asked to Dan Beebe before you came in. Do you think the Cavaliers did this to show what other teams are willing to give up so they can convince the Knicks to give up Kristaps Porzingis? Do you think they're going to the Knicks and saying, look at what we could have got from Boston? A first-round pick, a top 3 pick, most likely. Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, another player, and they might be willing to throw in Kelly Olynyk. Mm-hmm. All we want from you is Kristaps Porzingis, and we'll get the deal done. Do you think that was in the back of their minds at all?
I don't know if it was necessarily the Knicks as much as just the whole league. They wanted Porzingis, but I don't think that they truly thought they were going to get that from the Knicks, especially after everything that happened with the Knicks this offseason that involved him. So I think it's just they're able to field way more offers now because teams are like, okay, that was the price. Well, let's see if we can match that or beat it.
Let me ask you guys this, though. How much of a percentage do you think there is of maybe Carmelo staying in New York for, say, one more season?
75%.
Okay. So
I'm saying 75%.
That really kind of, changes the course of things, too. Because they wanted to say, Kyrie Irving with Carmelo. So you don't really see Carmelo going anywheres.
No, I don't see Carmelo going anywhere because the Knicks will then have to get rid of Carmelo for Ryan Anderson. Mm-hmm. That would mean there would be 2 bad contracts on the books, and one could be bad, with Tim Hardaway being could be worth it depending on how he plays, could be bad depending on how he plays.
Right.
But the Joakim Noah, regardless of how he plays, is a bad contract because it's so much money. And then Ryan Anderson is garbage. Mm-hmm.
He would be equitable to the Noah contract as far as value.
I think he'd be worse because I feel like Noah gets a lot more respect on the court than it appears. I think, even though he's a shell of himself, I feel like when Joakim Noah's on the court, you have to play your game differently. You have to account for him differently regardless of how he plays.
Healthy. I don't think...
even if he's only 80% because he's physical, you have to have someone
who's
with
a
physical.
shoulder injury. I don't think he can be as physical. I didn't see a lot to think of him as much of a threat last season when he was in the game, and now he's only
Well, I mean, his defense.
For 3/4 of this season, right?
That's what it was his defense. People, I mean, I don't know how many of the Knicks games you watched. Unfortunately, I did watch a lot.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's really, I I don't know the best way to say this without making it sound like I'm a huge fan of him.